Well, hello. Hello. Today is Thursday, and here we are back for the power of your story. And I am your host, LaQuita Parks. And listen, it has been an amazing day. There have been so many lives touched today, and I am excited because we're going to touch some more lives today because I have a special guest here with me, Miss Natalie Harris. And so before we get started and introduce Natalie, how y'all doing today? Have you guys had a fabulous day? I know I have. Even if it hasn't gone quite the way that you wanted to go, it was still a fabulous day because you are listening to the sound of my voice. So if you're good, I'm good. We're all good. So it's a fabulous day. So again, I am LaQuita Parks and I am your host. And I am the CEO and founder of T.R.I.V.I.A Publishing. And pay pro V means pain, progress, victory, because without pain, there's no progress. And without progress, there can be no victory. So I help people just like you and you and you and you take your stories from a thought to a realization. And not only take your stories from a thought to a realization, but I also help you start the healing process because there's always somebody waiting on the other side of your story so they can get healing from their story. So without further ado, I'm excited. I want to say a great big thank you, first of all, to Natalie for agreeing at the last minute to be my guest because we were scrambling because my other guest had a prior engagement that she did not have any control over. So I had to scare. I was like, okay, what am I going to do for a guest? And I was like, let me reach out to Natalie. So I'm excited that Natalie is here. So Natalie, tell us who you are, where you're from, and tell us a little bit about you.
All right. Well, hello, LaQuita, and everyone out in Radio Land. I hope everybody's had an incredibly amazing day today, and I pray that it continues on. My name is Natalie Harris. I am the CEO of Lady of Many Roots, which is the home of the Sakatumi Spicy Tea. So if you're looking to be proactive about your immune system or have excess mucus in your system, give me a call. The sock it to the spicy tea will definitely sock it to you. And so again, I'm just honored to be a guest here with LaQuita. She just doesn't know. She made my day today. So as you can see, I'm showing all 32 teeth. So she's someone that I've grown to love and respect
Oh,
uh, greatly. So I'm just honored to be here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Natalie. So Natalie and I met through where Clubhouse. Through
Clubhouse,
Clubhouse.
yes, yes.
And if you guys don't know what Clubhouse is, look it up. It's a great social media audio site. You don't have to see people. And the fun part is when you're talking, nobody knows what you look like other than the picture on your profile. But listen, you could be in the bed having a conversation. Nobody will be the wiser. They don't know if you're cooking dinner. They don't know what's going on. So check out Clubhouse. But there are some amazing resources on Clubhouse. And every Thursday morning, so Thursday evening, I do the Power of Your Story radio show. And Thursday morning, I do the Power of Your Story with a co-host, Karen O'Connor from Australia. We do that every Thursday morning. So that's how Natalie and I met. And wow, I love Natalie. I want to say I love the way that you speak. I love your storytelling. I love your energy. I really do love your energy. It just makes so much sense. You know, when we're talking about the power
Thank
of your
you.
story, and today we're going to talk about beneath the surface. I want you to tell people what you do. And when we talk about beneath the surface, so we're talking about the power of your story. This show is all about the power of your story. So people come on every week, and we have a conversation about what they're doing in their lives, what they're doing in the community, and how they just came to be. And there's power in that. And sometimes we just kind of scratch the surface, and we don't really get the meat of it if we just scratching the surface. We got to get beneath the surface to just get to start the healing process. So Natalie, today was an interesting day. So I'm a publisher, of course, and I publish children's books. And so today was daycare visit day. So we went out, probably it was about, an hour and a half drive. So we went out. We went out into the world. And we had
Mhm.
pre-arranged to meet with some daycare owners to share our children's books. And so when you're meeting with people, there's always a why. They always want to know the why. And what's fascinating for me is that when I sit down and start talking to people, they always have a story. They always have a story. So this one daycare provider, she was just, looking at the books, and she loved the books, and do you guys do readings? It's like, no, we don't do readings. We do interactive learning experiences. Okay, we don't just come and read to the children. We do learning experiences. I don't just read to them, girl. Because anybody, the parents can take the book and read. We make it come alive. We make the books come alive. So as I was talking to her, she asked, my co-author said, she has an amazing story, my story. And so she said, really, what's your story? And I said, well, I wrote my book called Walking Limitations, and it's a book, my true story of medical childhood trauma. And she kind of stopped and she looked and she said, medical? And she said, I said, at the hands of a nurse. She said, a nurse hurt you? And the look on her face was, nurses are supposed to help you. They're not supposed to hurt you. And the look on her face was a look of hurt. Like she was really hurt, because it's like a doctor taking an oath to do no harm. Nurses do too. So she could not believe that, a nurse. And so when I told her the story, she was sitting there in awe. And I never do this, Natalie, but I took my compression garment off and showed her. I pulled it
Mm.
down so she could see my leg, and it was deformed. And I said to her, I said, sometimes, now I don't have to prove anything to anybody. I said, but I felt compelled to
Mhm.
do that for her. Not that I had to prove anything, but I wanted her to know, I'm not lying. I've not made up this story. This is a true story. So when I pulled my stocking sock off, she was like, all she could do was she could just sit and just shake her head, and shake her head. And she was like, I cannot
Mm.
believe that. And so I said, I don't know a day without pain since I was 4 years old. I said, I'm almost
Mm.
53, so I don't know a day without pain. And I don't say that, and I don't tell that story to people to feel bad for me or feel sorry for me. I share that story with people for them to know that you don't know what a person is going through who you're looking at. I'm looking at you, you look fine. You're looking at me, I look fine. You can't tell that I'm in pain. I don't have to show that part to you, because I need for people to know that God has given us everything that we need to do everything that He needs us to do with wherever we are in life, whatever position, whatever financial position, whatever mental position, whatever physical condition. We already have that capacity. We just have to know we have it and then use it. So when we met, and when you came into the Power of Your Story clubhouse room, and you shared your comments, I was like, okay, I got to have this lady on my show. I've got to have her on my show, because just the way that you speak. And I want you to tell everybody about your story, storypreneur. I forgot what the name of it,
Oh,
what you're involved
yes.
in.
Yes.
and and share, because get to the whole scope is sharing your story, the importance of sharing your story. If your power has been taken through your story, then take it back. You have the power to take it back, empower you. So Natalie and I today are empowering you to share your story and take it back. So Natalie, what at number one, what inspired you to you are a molecular biologist. If did I say that right?
Molecular, yes, molecular cellular biologist.
Okay, and what is that for the people in the back that
So,
don't know?
so that's just a fancy way, LaQuita, of saying that I'm able to take the microscope and look inside the cell to see what's going on. When I worked at Meharry Medical College, my task was to get the microscope, go inside the cell and look at the different pathways, and I measured hormone production. Okay, I measured pregnenolone, progesterone, aldosterone, testosterone, and what we would do is we would take different toxicants like lead and put it on the cell to see how that will affect the hormone production of those particular cells. A lot of us in the community, back in the day, we were exposed to a lot of lead. Remember we had the lead-based paint, things of
Yep.
those nature. And then, believe it or not, lead and cadmium at one point in time was in tissue that we use every day. So just
Toilet paper.
basically seeing how that. Mhm.
Oh
So
wow.
basically, just seeing how that affected hormone production. I mean, there's a lot of things that people are not aware of that we use on our body, especially the private parts every day, especially as women. We use the sanitary napkins thing, and so there's no regulation that I know of as of today as to what they can make those out of. And it just used to be out of recycled paper, and they take that recycled paper, bleach it out, and boom, there you go. And so
Mm.
because of that, it has been suggested that women, a lot of the female problems that we have been linked to that. So,
Hmm.
there's just a lot that we just don't know. Hmm.
We just don't know. Wow. Wow. You know what?
Just
It
don't
makes
know.
a difference to get educated and being informed. I mean, just being informed, that makes a difference because I didn't know
Yes.
that. And now the sanitary napkins, I knew that
Yes.
because there is a company
Hmm.
that's doing the sanitary pads for women, and well, sanitary pads for women
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
I'm familiar with. I can't recall the name right now, but they removed all the bleach, they removed all of
Hmm.
that, and it's just
Yes.
all natural, and there are no chemicals whatsoever. And for a
Hmm.
long time, and I've got to get back
Right.
and get connected back with them, but I didn't have any need for them anymore because my daughters are adults and they're gone from home, and I don't have teenagers, and and I'm blessed with to be done with that part of my life. But
Hmm.
I used to I remember getting the information. I used to work in corporate America, and I was the chairperson of the wellness committee. And one of the things that we did was we tried
Okay.
to bring activities together that were, that were where we did educational wellness, get up and move, and we did the, wellness
Hmm.
and nutrition. And one of the things with the education was educating everybody on just what you said, on those things that we really don't know, from anywhere
Hmm.
from what's in the pad that you're putting on your body, or the tampons you put in your body, and what's in the
Hmm.
food that you're eating. Eat this, not that. The real life
Absolutely.
version of this, not that. So,
Hmm.
um, so I love
Hmm.
that. So we have to empower each other so that we'll know, and so that we can kind of stop some of this sickness that's going on in our bodies. And the thing is, Natalie, and I know that
Yes.
that sometimes you don't see that until years later, right? You don't see the
Absolutely.
effects of it until
Absolutely.
years
Because
later.
right, right. Because some of the chemicals that that's in our bodies from things that we're exposed to, they have what we call half lives. So that means a chemical can have, let's say, a half life of 20 years. That means that chemical is in your body for 20 years before it even begin to break down. So just
Wow.
think about the damage it can do prior to beginning to break down. Hmm.
Wow. I was just reading some medication, and it said the medicine comes out. You take it, and it comes out. Um, I guess you excrete it in 24 hours. However, for it to completely come out of
Hmm.
your system, it takes about 48 hours, 48 to 72 hours, or
Hmm.
something like that.
Hmm.
But then it said you can still have the effects from the medicine. It still takes three to
Hmm.
6 months to even know that you're having some effects from this medicine. I thought how that, and that's true with most medicine. It says, okay,
Hmm.
this could cause tendinitis. And
Mhm.
in
Mhm.
2 years you're not taking that medicine anymore. In 2 years you got tendinitis, and like, what happened? How did I get tendinitis? And you don't
Mhm.
remember that you
Mhm.
took this medicine a year ago, and that was the side effects. I had a friend who years and years ago took this medicine. It was for autoimmune. I can't remember what it was, but I remember when she started taking that medicine. And one of the side
Mhm.
effects, it had various. It was a newer medicine, and this was years ago, maybe 10 years ago. And I remember hearing a recall on that medicine that it could cause cancer. And this
Mhm.
my friend passed away from cancer. Now I don't know if it was
Mm.
related to the medicine, but that is way too coincidental to me.
Mhm.
Way too
Mhm. Absolutely.
coincidental. So I'm like, you know what?
Absolutely. So
Years later, it's and that makes me reluctant. So here you have something that's supposed to, it kind of helps you in one area, and then it kind of breaks you down in the other areas. So you caught between a rock and a hard
right.
place. Don't know what to do. You know, and you know what? And
That's
Natalie,
true.
tell me what your
That
opinion
is
is of
true.
this. There are people who have heart disease and who are diabetics and things of that nature,
Mhm.
and they get to a point where they have to take medicine. They don't have their numbers are so high they don't have a choice. There are those that say, "Oh, you don't take the medicine. You need to do something herbal. You need to do something this." And my opinion is, yeah, I don't believe in taking all this medicine, even though I have all these different conditions with me. I think sometimes when you get to a point where your sugar level is elevated, or your blood pressure is so high, or you're in whatever that first stage or second stage of heart disease is, I think you get to a point where you don't really have a choice but to take the medicine until you can get to a normalized position, as opposed to not taking anything. What do you think about that? And I know you're not a doctor. I'm just
So
curious.
right. I know. And I was thinking about that. And I think that that's when somebody really has to sit down and do soul searching and be very, very proactive about their health and weigh out the options. And by that, I mean, yes, you do have medications that can help put a band-aid over the issue. However, if you need to get down to the root cause of, well, why am I diabetic, or why do I have high blood pressure? And I think, in my opinion, that's when you, if you were able to find a good naturopathic doctor, okay, and I've been kind of working with some, they can help us treat these things naturally, because the Bible tells you that the leaves are, you know, leaves are our medicine, and I'm paraphrasing that scripture
Yeah,
that's in
right, right,
Genesis.
right,
And
right.
so I'm a firm believer that there's a cure for everything in nature.
Mhm, mhm,
That's just in my heart. I believe that. And
mhm,
so, but when you do that, when you go the naturopathic route, you have to be extremely, extremely, extremely disciplined in that
mhm,
area. As
mhm,
opposed to, if you go Western medicine, you take the medications and it will help with the symptoms, but it
mhm.
doesn't necessarily address the root cause. When you go the
Right.
naturopathic way, they definitely start addressing the root cause of what's
Mhm,
going on with you. So it just
mhm,
depends on where you are. If you're not that really disciplined person, then I would say, okay, you may need to take the medication for, until you can get it under control and then go that way. Or if you're just diehard disciplined, and you've made it up your mind and you know without a shadow of a doubt that this is the way you want to go, then I would say definitely explore the naturopathic way. So you just have to
mhm.
decide where you are with that. Hmm.
Right, right. I agree. I know I've known some people who have they take a pill for everything. Everything they
Hmm.
take a pill. I'm hurting. I take a pill. This I'm like, okay, it's too many pills. But then there are those who need to take a pill,
Right,
and it's like, no,
right.
I'm not going to take a pill. I'm not going to do it. But they're
Hmm.
not doing the disciplined way either. So it's like,
Right.
okay, at some point you have to make a choice. But when your blood pressure is extremely high and has been
Hmm.
consistently high for a long
Hmm.
time, getting it
Hmm.
down quick is the priority. and you may not have the
Mhm.
time to do the homeopathic way, which I am an advocate
Mhm.
because I'm an oil fan girl. I don't take
Okay.
pain.
Okay.
I do my essential oils, my sprays. I have it all. Yes,
Right.
Young Living, girl, Young Living. Is that Young Living I see?
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
That's
Yes,
yes.
ma'am.
It's Young
For
Living.
5 years now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's Thieves. That Thieves was my very first oil that I
These.
bought. It was my very first one.
Okay.
I was at a
Okay.
conference several years ago, and I ended up having to have some surgery because of, again, one of those issues stemming from the jab in the leg. But I
Mhm.
went. They had a Young Living representative there, and I said, "What do you have for nausea?" Because that was one of the conditions that caused
Mm.
nausea, and for 83
Mhm.
consecutive days, nausea, nausea,
Mm.
vomit, 83 consecutive days. And so she recommended the Thieves, and
Mhm.
I bought an aromatherapy necklace with the little disc
Okay.
in it, and I poured the
Mhm.
Thieves in that, and I would and it helped with my upset stomach. Now, she tried to get me to get a kit and to get
Okay.
started, but there was a lady at my job that I worked at who had been, I would buy, one or two things from her, or support her, and she had been trying to get me to just get all into it. And I was like, no. But when I did that Thieves at the conference, it was at a church conference, and it really did help my nausea. It made me just feel
Okay.
much better, and I was able to get through the conference. I When I got back to work, I was like, okay, I'm ready. And I have been living ever since. And I know there are other oils, and I've tried other oils, but they're not equally weighted for me because I don't take pain
Okay.
medicine, but I make my own pain rollers. I make my own pain rollers.
Okay.
I make my own inflammation rollers. I make my own headache rollers. Um, and I've used
Mm.
different oils, but Young Living is the only one that sustains. I get the best effect out of it. So it's a little more
Okay.
expensive to
Awesome.
come, but it's amazing. So I'm a fan.
Okay.
So I knew I
Awesome.
liked
Yeah, that was
some.
gifted to me.
I knew I liked it, girl. I knew I liked.
It was gifted to me. Yes.
So what made you go into molecular biology?
Okay. I've always loved science. Science has always been in my heart, in my blood. And so I had the opportunity when I went to I'm a Gramblinite. Okay. Yay,
Okay,
GSU.
Grambling. Woohoo!
Yes. So while attending Grambling, I had the opportunity to go to Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, and do what we call summer internships at Meharry
Mhm.
Medical College. And it was there while working at Meharry Medical College. That's when I was introduced to that. And I'm like, oh,
Oh,
this is so cool to get to go in and grow your own cells and then run the different tests and measure out the hormone production. So while still at while still at Grambling, I went, I guess, a couple of years, a couple of summers, let me say it like that, to do the
mhm.
research. And I just fell in love with molecular cellular biology. And so I just stuck with it. And then I had the opportunity to go and work at Meharry while working on my PhD. Now, that's another story. Um, and so, so, so my concentration was hypertension, diabetes, and female reproduction. So that was my
Mm,
concentration. And so in
mm.
it, I would take human adrenal cells and rat adrenal cells and run these tests on
Wait, I'm
them.
sorry. I'm sorry. Did you say rat? RAT?
Hmm.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
why one? So I would take the adrenal cells from rats. Why one adrenal cells from rats? And then we had a line of human adrenal cells that we used as well. And so I would run the different tests on them. Hmm.
Okay. And so how does that how do you correlate that to storytelling?
So, oh, I would tell my story out of my love for biology. Okay, because going in the lab and growing the cells can be so tedious, very tedious, because you would have to be so sanitized. You could just have a simple patch of dirt or something under your nails or whatever the case may be, and you could kill all of your cells. and you have to start all back over. So
Wow.
in telling, it would just depend on who my audience was, that I would shape that story of being a molecular cellular biologist. If it was somebody who was going through something that was very tedious, trying and things of that nature, then I can link that with growing my cells. Because, like I said, you had to be extremely careful with them and not get anything contaminated. Because if you did, it doesn't take much to contaminate your cells. So you start all over. When I said start over, it may sit you back a month, because you gotta culture your cells and grow them, and so all you can do is wait. So again, it,
Hmm.
it depends on who the audience is that I would craft that story.
So as you're going through and you're testing these cells and waiting for them to return something, or for you to uncover or discover something, how do when you look at everything that's going on in the world, and you have COVID, you have the
Hmm.
now what's the new thing they
Mm.
got, the monkey, when you have all that, and
Monkeypox,
okay,
yes.
yeah, you're going through, and you're looking at these cells and looking underneath the surface, which is really what you're doing. How what do you when you do that, and when you were thinking, how do you, when you're in the lab, are you ever thinking, okay, this is why there is an outbreak of this is why there is an outbreak of that? Do you ever think that, and what kind of breakthroughs have you had? Have you been like, oh, okay, like you said, that was fascinating, for the lead, who I didn't,
Hmm.
and I may have heard it, but I don't know. Maybe I was too young, and don't remember that
Hmm.
we used to tissue with lead now,
Hmm.
that had lead, and I definitely remember the lead paint. I was
Hmm.
old enough to remember lead, being sold with lead paint, especially in the schools, the
Yes,
school system.
yes.
Because I remember they would have to go in, and they would have to have the mask on, and they would have to chip the paint off, and they had to be very careful with it, because this,
Hmm.
even cart off the room or whatever, because it was lead
Hmm.
paint, and kids have been exposed to
Absolutely.
lead. So
Absolutely.
how do
Go ahead.
no, go ahead. No, go ahead.
So when I'm talking about the tissue, also I think more so like your cadmium. That's another chemical you could find in your tissue. And I remember specifically asking my mentor about that, because again, we as women, we wipe all the time, and so I
Yeah.
know one of the things that he wanted to explore was the things, the makeup of tissue. And so we're talking 20 years ago now, so I'm quite sure
Hmm.
tissue has changed
Hmm.
dramatically since then. But those were some of the things that could be found in in your tissue. Now, fast forward to today, when you talk about the environment that we're in with all of these different types of viruses, that was the first thing that I thought about once they really narrowed it down as to what it was. Because when COVID first hit, nobody knew what this was or anything. It was just people were dying like crazy, or getting really, really sick, and had no explanation why people were getting sick. And I
Yeah,
remember calling my
I remember I remember when in the beginning, when I remember, when in December, and in November, December
mhm
2019,
mhm
I was sick myself, and I had to go to the Mayo Clinic. Mine was heart
mhm
related, but I had to go to the Mayo
okay
Clinic. Before I went, I remember there was this, there was, because I worked for the Kroger company, and they would come around and they would do flu shots, and I didn't take one, because I don't do
mhm
needles, because what happened to my leg as a child. But I remember
mhm
them saying there's some strand of the flu, that the
mhm
flu shot was not helping. It was not
right
doing anything for this strand of flu. And it was like you would hear it at first, and then it just kept growing and growing. And when I went to the Mayo Clinic, then that was kind of like when flu season started around the holidays. They started, you
mhm
get your flu shot, get your flu shot. It was the buzz around the
mhm
office and in the pharmacy. This strand of flu is not working, on with these flu shots are not working, and people were
mhm
getting sicker and
mhm
sicker and sicker. And then,
mhm
I came back, went to the Mayo Clinic in November and December 2019, January and February of 2020. came back in February, the end of February, March 1st or 2nd, I went to a daycare to do a reading. And the very next day, everything was shut down. The school shut down.
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
talking just that quick. And that was like,
Yes.
okay, know what was going on. What in the world was going on?
Right. Absolutely. And I know, remember, I called my cousin. She's a retired pediatrician. I go, look, we got to put our heads together and talk about this thing that's happening. And so she sent me a book, and I cannot find my book, but she sent it because I wanted to understand how this virus worked. What's different about this virus? And one of the things that I found out in my research was that, no, this virus, most viruses attaches itself on top of the cell. This particular virus was working its way inside the cell and just wreaking all kinds of havoc inside the cell, reprogramming the cell and everything. And so I'm like, oh wow, okay. And so that's when I'm quite sure you heard they were saying if you could kill it before it got down into your respiratory system, down off into your lungs, that would be great. So everybody was doing the steaming and different things of that nature. But a lot of times it would also work its way down into your respiratory system and wreak havoc within your lungs. And that's why your lungs was producing this ungodly amount of mucus, and it was just so thick, and it was just really choking people out. And
Yeah.
so it wasn't until so what so I'm telling so I went the naturopathic, like what can people take, what can people drink to maybe help, get rid of this. And so thus came Sakatimi spicy tea. But it wasn't until I caught COVID, and it
Mhm.
wasn't, you had COVID-19 first, and what was the next one that came out?
You
What
had
was the next one?
the I think the Delta was the second one, and then the
Okay,
third,
I think
then
that's the one I
the
got.
third one was the B2, the B5 or B something.
Okay, right. I didn't get
Yeah, there's
COVID.
another variant.
It-
There's another variant now.
yeah, yeah. So the other one what I caught was a Delta, because I remember my children came home for this past Christmas. They came home, and and so a couple of days after everybody left for Christmas, then I got sick. And so I'm like, y'all bought that in here on me. But then I began to understand after I caught that virus just how sick people were, because I was down for 30 days, literally on my back for 30 days. And all I could do was sip my tea, and I did good if I could make it to the bathroom. And I'm just saying that's just how weak my body was. And I coughed so much, so I think I pulled a muscle in my chest for coughing. But you had to cough so hard because the mucus was so thick. I mean, you could just like really take it with a knife and cut it. And I didn't understand how thick it was until I got sick. And so then I really had a better understanding as to, why people were dying,
Yeah,
against all the
yeah.
mucus in their system. So yeah.
Yeah. I caught COVID, and I did good. All the precautions. When I went to the Mayo Clinic, we were my the person that took me, a friend of mine, had this. It looked like a cologne bottle, and I used to say, what, why are you spraying cologne? And it wasn't, and it was a bottle. It was a real cute bottle. It looked like it could have been a cologne bottle, just filled with
Mm-hmm.
pure alcohol. So
Mm,
every time he would get out of the car, get in the car, he would say, "Okay, Quita, spray your hands." He would spray my hands. This was even
mm-hmm.
before we knew anything about it, so he was doing that. So of course,
Mm-hmm.
COVID came, and I have those conditions. So I have lupus, I have RA, I have
Mm-hmm.
fibromyalgia. I have all of those that make me a high risk, put me in a high risk category for
Right.
COVID.
Right.
So
Right.
I was sheltering in place, barricaded, didn't go out, didn't do much, and didn't get around people. And the only people I did see was my family, and did good for a year,
Mm-hmm.
2 years almost. And then
Mm-hmm.
Mother's Day, this past Mother's Day, the whole weekend we had a great time. We did an Airbnb where we rented a pool. We went to everybody, all of my family, my kids, their kids, their boyfriends, girlfriends. But the only thing that I didn't do was go bowling. Everybody else went bowling.
Mhm.
That was Saturday. I
Mhm.
didn't go bowling on Saturday. On Sunday, everybody got together except for my son's girlfriend at our dinner place, and we all, I mean, we hugged and kissed babies. We had a great time. We sang karaoke. We just had, sweating and spitting all over each other. I The
Mhm.
next day, my son's girlfriend was not feeling well, and she tested. She went and got and she went and got tested. She tested positive. That was Monday. That also, that same day, my grandson wasn't feeling well. He had a slight fever, but he was throwing up. He wasn't feeling well. But he didn't. He was a
Mhm.
baby. He didn't test. And then it's like the house was not feeling well. They had like cold symptoms. They didn't, headache, dragging. And then my play daughter, she and her husband, and they have two children. She tested positive her second time with COVID. Her husband did not. And so that was Monday.
Mhm.
Tuesday, my other daughter wasn't feeling well. She went and got tested, but she tested negative. My son brought the baby to me. So I had the baby, and my mentee, we were together on Tuesday, all day on Tuesday. And by Thursday, I went to do a reading at a school, and I felt funny. My throat started feeling a little
Mhm.
scratchy, but by Thursday evening, my throat felt like it was a little raw. And I'm like, what is going on here?
Mhm.
And then Friday, I woke up and my whole body hurt. Now I have lupus and RA,
Mhm.
so I'm used to pain. There was not the same kind of pain.
Mhm.
It was a different kind of pain. My
Mhm.
whole
Mhm.
body and my head was
Mhm.
killing me. And I said, okay. And my
Mhm.
my mentee, who spent the whole day with me on Tuesday, woke up with the exact same symptoms. So her parents took
Wow.
her and had her tested, and she tested positive. Well, Saturday I woke
Okay.
up, I didn't have any body aches, I didn't have any headache, but overnight I developed a nasty cough. It was like, Natalie, that cough came on overnight, and I woke up
Mhm. Mhm.
choking from the cough in my sleep. I
Mhm.
went and got
Mhm.
tested. I tested positive for COVID, and I came home. And so I do these oils religiously. I do them.
Mhm.
I rub them on my feet. I take inner defense. I rub it. I have this is my inflammation roller, but I have rollers that's for immunity that I put together, and I rub it on my chest and rub it on my nose and put my mask on. So I gave the same oils to my mentee's mother, and she did the same
Mhm.
thing. So, and COVID is very tricky. Some days I thought, okay, I'm feeling better, and then a few minutes later, I didn't have enough energy to make it down the hall. The fatigue was a
Mhm.
beast. I would go out. My son would
Yes.
say, okay,
Yes.
you got to go out and sit in the sun. I would make myself go out and sit outside in the sun for at least 20 minutes, and then I would hold on to
Mhm.
the wall
Mhm.
and make it back in and sit in my chair. Every two
Mhm.
hours I tried to get up. If I was laying
Mhm.
down, somebody would call and say, okay, you got to get up, you got to get up, you got to keep
Mhm.
moving.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
agree with you. I was like, okay, now I understand why people are dying from pneumonia and the lungs, because
Mhm.
it and that cough. I've done good today, but it's been since Mother's Day weekend, and I'm still trying to get over my cough.
Mhm.
And my doctor
Right.
said the cough
Right.
can last you 6 months or longer.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it is no joke. So I get it. I was like, wow, for those people who are saying, oh, it's not real, it's a trick of the government. No, even whether it is or isn't, it's here, because I've
It's
had
here.
it,
Yes.
and it's no
Yes.
fun.
Yes.
So
Yes.
tell us about your sock it to me tea.
So
Spicy
my
sock
Sakatimi
sock it to me.
spicy, yes, my Sakatimi spicy tea. It
Tell us about
takes me about 40 to 45 days to make, and probably a couple of days in preparation, because when I make it in huge batches because of the long process time. If people want it, then I'll have it on hand. It's all natural. I can make it either vegan or non-vegan. And the reason why I say that, I can make it with or without honey, because I did not know that if you add honey to something, then that's considered non-vegan,
Mm-hmm.
because of the work that the bees do. That's how it was explained to me. Because I'm like, well, honey is not, animal product or what have you, but because bees make the honey, then they consider that, non-vegan. I was like, okay, well, I learned something new. So if you want honey in it, great. If you don't want honey, then I can make it without it. But
I didn't.
anyway, it has a lot of natural spices. You never heard of that?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
My
A lot of,
grandchildren and
yeah,
their dad, they're vegan, and I didn't know that honey makes it not vegan. I didn't know that. Wow,
yep.
that's something new to
I
learn.
had a lady. Matter of fact, yeah, it was a lady out of China who wanted some, and I sent it to her, and she began to ask me, okay, well, what's all in it? And I told her, and she said she could not consume it because it had the honey in it. I'm like, oh wow, okay. So
Wow.
that's how I learned that. But it has a lot of natural herbs, spices, and flavors. Hence spicy part. So it has spices in it, and what I am doing, I'm tweaking it now too, because the batch that I have now, it is super spicy. But I do realize everybody can't do a lot of pepper, like
Mhm,
me. So
mhm,
I'm tweaking the pepper. However, what I do tell people, you can play with it. I just say use half of a teaspoon in your
mhm,
cup of hot water or a cup of juice. If you do it in a smoothie, you can use a little bit more. Um, and then you can just play with it, and you can sweeten it with whatever you want to sweeten it with. But
mm,
but so far, everybody that has purchased the tea for for not the excess mucus, it did that. However, when you first consume it, gives your body that jolt, I'm told. And some people it's help with their blood flow, some people it's help with their joint pain, some people it has just given them energy, given them energy to drink it or whatever, have a good night's sleep. And
mm.
believe it or not, this is going to make you laugh. Some people have actually taken it and marinated their steak or shrimp in, and I'm like, this is not what I made this for, but okay.
They may turn into a marinade. Okay, so how can people purchase it from you?
Right, right. So you can go to my website, ladyofminiroots.com. Again, that's and you can see it there on my website.
Oh, cool, cool.
Hmm.
Wow. This is I need to go on your website and try that because I have a lot of illnesses that are anti-inflammatory. I mean that are immune,
Okay,
autoimmune, and inflammation causes pain,
okay.
and so when you're
Hmm.
inflamed, it's hard. And then of course when mucus gets down, that's inflammation too. So that might be
True,
interesting. I
true.
make I make
Okay.
I love natural things. I have to
Hmm.
I take medicine too, but I try not to take medicine if I don't absolutely have to. But I do not take pain
Hmm.
medicine. I don't take pain medicine at all. So I make my own,
Understood.
and it keeps me
Do you
really
juice?
good. You know what? My daughter bought me
Do
a
you
juicer.
juice?
My daughter bought me a juicer. She's probably listening now. I'm not opened it yet, but I will. But somebody else,
Okay.
I do smoothies and all that. But I don't juice myself. So somebody does it for me. But I do have a juicer that I got
Hmm.
um, for Mother's Day. So,
Okay.
shh, don't tell me that I
I
haven't
won't
opened.
tell her.
Don't tell her, y'all, and all y'all listening. Don't tell her either.
Okay.
So
That's funny.
Natalie,
That's funny.
so what interesting things are you doing? What do you have going on with you?
So right now I'm in a class or doing sessions with an awesome guy by the name of Devin Rodriguez. I'm in his academy called Storypreneur. And this is where we're working, developing, telling your story because everyone has a story to tell. And so
Yes.
storypreneur means you combine story and being an entrepreneur. And so you tell a story to help paint the vision for the person to buy either your products or services. And so
Mm, okay.
that's how you combine the two together. So I'm getting my certification through that. I am working on my book series. I finished one part of it. I just need to type it up and look, send it to you so you can proofread it. But
Yes.
it's definitely
Yes.
a collection of inspirational sayings. I don't know
Okay.
how else to say that because
Can
it's
you
not
give us a
short quotes, it's
sample?
not poems.
Can
Ooh,
you give us
girl, yeah. Hang on. I got something right here. Look, right here, right here. I don't know why it's right here beside me. Hey, hold that thought. Ooh, let's see. So it's that's thank Lord. So it's like many letters that I'm writing to the reader. That's what it is. Okay.
oh,
And
all
so
right.
for instance, let's say a spark of divinity is housed within you. For you are a seed of great potential. Although small in size, the potential that lies within you can bring about a limitless bounty. Let me see, compared to all that lies within you, the bounty that you are capable of yielding is incredibly amazing. It is from this potential in which lies your new beginnings. Nurture the power and step into the dawning of your new beginning. And then I sign it as Lady of Many Roots.
I
What do you
like
think?
that. Step to the dawning of your new beginning.
You like that?
I like that. I like that.
Yes,
You
yes.
know
The
what?
simple part. Oh, yes.
Go. You go ahead. You want to share another one?
Well, I was gonna say, I'm a big animation fan, and I remember watching The Lion King, and the dawning of to this. I can't remember. It showed a new or something like stepping into his newborn and what have you. So I got that from that. So but
Okay.
and then here's one. I'll read this one and I'll be done. This one is called The Darkness. Talking about dark, I think darkness gets a bad rap. Everybody, whenever you hear darkness, people kind of have you, but people to think about in a different.
So I don't know. I can't hear you, Natalie. Can you hear me? I think we lost your. We lost the voice. Uh oh. Did we lose Natalie? Listen, that's technology for you. I don't know what's going on,
Man,
Natalie. There you go. Okay. I was like, okay,
I
hey,
know,
we
right?
lost
I
it,
know.
Natalie. Now you were saying the darkness
Okay,
gets a bad
all right.
rap.
Yeah, darkness gets a bad rap, but if you just stop and think about it, amazing things can happen in the darkness. Because when you plant the seed, you plant the seed where? In the ground, okay? In darkness, and it is there that it goes this through this phenomenal transformation. Thus, you
Hmm.
get the plant, and then you get the harvest. When your mother
Right.
and father came together, and your mother, the womb is a dark place, and within her womb there was this transformation, this beautiful baby girl, Lita. So, think about darkness as a place of that you're transforming, that you're evolving into this next level of who you are. So that's how I
Yeah.
kind of look at darkness now.
Okay. That's
Um,
a good way of looking at it.
Darkness is where the beauty of today. Yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna read this real quick and then I'm gonna be done.
Okay.
Darkness is where the beauty of today, the power of now, and the magic of transformation take place. Oftentimes, more than not, darkness is viewed as something evil, non positive, non inviting, and frightening. But when two people together, it is within the darkness of the womb, that life begins. When the garden is plowed up by the farmer, it is where the seed will be placed in the rows. There's of days that life will spring forth from the darkness that once eclipsed it. In the darkness of the cocoon, the caterpillar is transformed into a new creature. What is your darkness waiting to reveal unapologetically? What power lies within your darkness waiting to be unleashed? And that's it.
Oh, I like that. What power lies in your darkness, waiting to be unleashed? Oh wow, I like that. That's really good. So when will your
Yeah,
book be ready?
thank you. So, like I said, I got it written out. So I just need to type it and have somebody proofread and we'll go from there.
Awesome, awesome,
Don't laugh at me,
awesome. Well,
LaQuita.
Natalie, oh no, it's a good laugh. It's a really good laugh. Let me tell you, it's very encouraging because there are people who won't do that. And it's beautiful. I'm telling you,
Hmm.
get your stories out. As somebody said, by hook or by crook, get it out.
Right.
Get your story out. But Natalie, it has been a pleasure talking with you and getting to know you and learning about what you do. And you've shared some fascinating nuggets and some fascinating things about what our cells go through, and I appreciate that, and it kind of makes you think. You know what, you can, when you're educated, you can do a whole lot. I don't understand people who won't gain knowledge. So thank you so much for giving me some knowledge, some things that I didn't know. That's going to cause me to look a little deeper, to read more labels, to lean toward those
Hmm.
things that are more
Hmm.
organic and that are more earthly without all the chemicals. Because now we're
Hmm.
starting to see the repercussions of all that, and that we didn't know about. So when you know better, you do better.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much. So tell people where
Yes.
they can how can they connect with you if they want to reach out to you. How can they reach out to you? What are you? You're on social media?
I am on social media. You look me up on Facebook, Natalie Nelson. I am icon Facebook has the three African American women on it, bright colors. So reach me on Facebook, Harris, and reach me on what is it? Instagram. I couldn't think of it. I can be reached on Instagram as well. I'm under Natalie Harris Nelson on Instagram. Also, you can ladyofmanyreasons.com. You can go to my website and send me a message there. Or you can reach me at Gmail, Natalie Harris 3864 at gmail.com. Natalie Harris 3864 at gmail.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Natalie. This has been a wonderful conversation. I love it. And listen, stay tuned for some amazing things coming down the pipelines with Natalie and I. We have some things go. We're going to work on putting some things together, but we can't tell y'all yet. It's going to be coming soon. So look for some announcements coming soon.
Yes.
Coming soon. We will let you guys know coming soon. But this has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation. Thank you so much again, Natalie. Again, for you who are listening to this radio show and who will catch the replay and see the video, I am LaQuita Parks, your host, and this has been another amazing moment on the power of your story with Natalie Harris. Listen, whatever you do, if you need help writing your story, reach out to me. I can help you. If you have a story, and I know that you have a story because 100% of everybody living and dead has a story, reach out to me. I can help you take that story from a thought to a realization. You got a story, you started writing your story, but you're stuck. I can help you get unstuck. If you've written your story and you just want to get ready to get it published, reach out to me. We can read over it, proofread it for you, give you some feedback. We offer written feedback and give you some guidance. And if your story is ready, we can publish your story too. Whatever you do, share your story. There is power in your story. Somebody is waiting for your story. Somebody is waiting to hear about your story. And if you're doing some great things in the community, you've written a story, doing great things in the community, and you want to share what you're doing or want to connect or need a platform to connect with a different amount of people, reach out to us. We'd love to interview you for our show. And listen, whatever you do, share your story. tell your story. There is power in your story. And I am so grateful to have you here listening to me. It has been a pleasure. And until next Thursday, we will close by saying it has been a plump, pleasing pleasure. Better than a triple decker peanut butter and jelly sandwich. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. And until then, we'll see you next time.
Allow us at Eddie B Productions to capture, create, and celebrate all of your greatest moments. Let us turn your joy into memories that will last forever. As we remember our beloved Eddie Blick Jr., the very reason we do it all, we aim to put a smile on your face and also your heart. Whether a birthday party, wedding planning, organizing an event, or photography, we can service all your needs. You can follow us on Instagram at Eddie B Productions, email us at eddieb_productions93@outlook.com, or call us at 410-303-0101 for all your event planning, decoration, fun, and photography needs. We look forward to working with you.